Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about ready to start this stream. Whew. I have missed this. I've missed you guys. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we pop on over to this. Hopefully everything's working properly. Load game. Oh, perfect. Excellent. It's all operating just as intended. Oh my gosh. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the official Rockfish Games community stream. Yay! Yeah, wait, we have a sound for that. Hang on a second. There we go. Yay! Awesome. Yay! Welcome. I'm your host, Eric Schrader. I'm the community ambassador for Rockfish Games. I have been out for a little bit of time due to some sinus issues. In fact, I still can't quite hear out of my left ear, so hopefully that's not going to deter us too much from everything. I am doing much better than I was before. For those of you who were concerned at all, it was not anything to do with COVID. It was entirely sinus related. Had some massive headaches for like an entire week, and then it all transitioned into my ears. So that's fun. But no, we're well enough. We're taking a go at this stream. Hopefully there won't be any issues regarding all of this, because I really want to talk about Everspace 2 with you guys. I want to answer any concerns that you may have with development. I know that we've already had a lot of people asking us, what's the state of development now that the world's in such a weird position? In fact, we even had that question pop up right in the chat right before we started. And I want to make sure that you guys know exactly what's going on. So if you do have any of those concerns, if you have any questions whatsoever, this stream is for you guys to address that. We are incredibly open about our process, but obviously we don't want to spoil anything too. So if you ask us, well, how does the story work? Come on, But otherwise, we are here for you. We want to help you understand everything, and we just want to have a conversation. So without further ado, I want to say hello to everybody over in the chat. Ilaskoff, Jackson Tasukahara, Selim7724, I'm not trying to pronounce the name. Rakila, look at all you beautiful people over on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. We've got a lot of people already, talking it all up in Twitch. Probably some people talking smack too. Jim the Bingle, Talent24, Tula Mayo, Longbottom 99, WT, Hazy Devil, Dagum or Dagum. Oh goodness, I don't even know how to pronounce the name. I'm so sorry. That should be, I know I've seen your name before. That feels bad. Bloodstar. Oh wait, no, I'm ghosting him. Dr. Uyu, Michael RFG, the big boss man himself. Always a pleasure having. Oh my gosh. You guys are all great. Thank you so much for being here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into Everspace 2, and I'm going to do the pretty foundational elements of what is Everspace 2, why are we going in the direction we're going to, and explaining sort of those core concepts for anybody who's not familiar with the game. Through this course, I want you to just throw questions that you guys have, whether it's about what it is that I'm playing, or if you do have future questions, maybe stuff that Will talked about last week. We're going to be diving into as much as we can for you. At about the halfway point in the stream is when we are going to be showing some new content, so long as my build doesn't give me any problems. It did crash on me a couple times earlier, but I want to push that as far as I can to show you the stuff that we've got working. And also expand upon some of that concept art that we showed you last week as well. So it should be a good time. So let me just dive right on in here and have some fun. Kunumb11, hi, welcome, hello there. Stefan Peterson, the visuals of Everspace 1 is absolutely fantastic. So excited about Everspace 2. We are looking forward to it as well. So far, we're very pleased with the visual results that we have. We've got a couple new people on the team who've been pounding out some Oh my gosh, some crazy good stuff. So needless to say, we're excited to show you even more of what we've been working on. Maybe I can sneak in a couple things there. Should be good. Sokuhara, not Tusokuhara. Okay, all right. I'm trying so hard. Just a silent T. All right. Sokuhara. All right. Sorry, Jackson. Hey T3 Cube, can you do some runs without inertia dampener? I'm going to just be playing Everspace 2 today, but that, I mean, the inertia dampeners, that's going to be an element that is toggleable in Everspace 2, just because it's been hotly requested from our community, and we want to give you that as an option. So whenever we have that implemented, I'll absolutely showcase that, but it's not, it's currently not built into the game. Oh my goodness. False Mind, welcome to the stream. Oh my gosh, how did I miss you? Oh, it's a pleasure having you, sir. How much can you tell me about the delightfulness of the big fat heavy ships? I could go back and show a couple little blockouts that we have for the heavy ships. We did do a little bit of discussions about the heavies in a vlog, an update, in both. I can't remember. But I know that there is video footage on our YouTube channel, which you can go to youtube.com/rockfishgames to explore those elements. It is all there. And yeah, we don't have too much more information other than the heavy ships are larger and probably do more damage. But that's about it that we have so far. I suppose we also did show that there were 4 different points on the front of one of the heavies at least that has primary weapons. So that may or may not be something that we utilize in its implementation. To be more specific about what I mean by that, in all of your ships, like in the Sentinel here, you only have 2 weapon points. One's right there. The other one's right there. On our heavy, we actually showed 4 weapon points, so like 2 on each side. And I'm not saying that we're going to make it to where you can have multiple primaries at the same time. We're exploring what those options do look like, though, because we know that is something else that a lot of people have been talking about and a lot of people have been asking about. So it's possible that heavies could be straight up having more weapons that can fire at the same time. Maybe. Again, no guarantees to that, but that is something that we have shown, at least for the heavy ships, in comparison to the mediums and the light ships. So, yeah. Never played the previous one. Is there any visual customization of the ship? Yes, absolutely is. I'm glad that you asked because we're in a good position to show that what that customization looks like. So, just to start things off, since you haven't played the previous one, Everspace 1, or Everspace Classic, if you will, it is an arcadey space shooter using a roguelike mechanic so that you go on runs throughout the game. So when you start your very first run, you're going to be picking up a bunch of random stuff in procedurally generated environments, and then you're going to die in some capacity, degree, or format. When that happens, you will retain certain components of your run, specifically your credits, that you will then spend on permanent upgrades that will transcend every single run that you have from that moment on. And through that, all of your additional runs are going to be a little bit beefier than the last one. But you do always have to start from the beginning and try and get through the course of a procedurally generated run. So with Everspace 2, we changed a lot of the game. In fact, the genre is entirely different now. So instead of it being a roguelike formula and going on runs, now it's an open world RPG. Like I said, a big change, okay? A very, very large change. And with that, we have a lot of differences of how the ship's going to look and operate as well. So now let's go to the visuals, which is what your question was about. With Everspace 1, you basically chose one of 4 ships, each very distinct, very unique from one another in their play styles and their visual appearance. Now with Everspace 2, we have different ship classes. These are the only 3 ship classes that we have just for like a quick display, really, in our prototype build. But we do have a lot of different visual points of interest because we use a modular-based ship design now. So all of these wings, these these bodies, these engines, and even the cockpit itself are different modules that can be changed and combined into completely new ships. So even though we're looking at the same class here, all these ships are the exact same class, their visual style is dramatically different because we're able to shape and change and play around with all of these different parts and pieces that form entirely new ships. So with this, we've already had a lot of people kind of wondering, like, was it only aesthetic? Is this going to be something that's pertaining to the stats as well? We absolutely want to make this your type of game, right? It's as an open world RPG, putting emphasis on that RPG. Think of your ship as your character, right? And in an RPG, you customize your character a lot. So we want to keep this open and fresh to where you're always building yourself up with a visual appearance as well as statistical gains. And if we can pull a few things off and bring it all to light, we may even have a combination of both in the end game of Everspace 2, where not only are you building up all of your sweet stats in the format you want, but then you could also choose the styles to go with it. So that's the end goal. We'll see how far we get. Right now, it's looking pretty good. We're pretty happy with the visual looks of the ships so far, but there's so much more to come. I only cycled through a mere 11 different looks of one class. 11 different styles you just saw. And that's nothing. That is actually nothing. For the stats and whatnot, can't really show you too much about them, but essentially what you're going to be doing is balancing 6 specific attributes on your ship. Think of them kind of like your traditional Dungeons and Dragons, so like strength, dexterity, constitution, you know, those sort of elements, except now it's on your ship, so it's like firepower and repair and utility, things of that nature that you'll be bettering as you collect different pieces of loot. And this is going to be very different from Everspace 1 as well, because Everspace 1, you had like slots of like all of your devices and your consumables, your primaries, your secondaries, and it was all like in the same sort of territory. Now we have a cargo area that you can utilize, and each of these specific modules can have very unique modifiers on each one of these. So with these thrusters, for example, I mean, this one, it's like, you know, 250% boost speed. What does that mean? Don't worry about it for now. Boost duration, 5 seconds. Okay, that's a little bit more comprehensible. 300% boost acceleration, 1.5% or 1.5 second full recharge, 1.5 second boost recharge delay. All of these are going to be basic stats that will get cleaned up and very understood right from the get-go. So when you get something like this, you know, oh, okay, that's what this means, right? Then in addition to that, we could have a modifier that changes the full recharge of this in some capacity. It adds something to like your firepower. Your booster's adding to your firepower in some degree. Maybe it changes the color of the engines, right? Maybe it has some sort of special effect that now whenever you boost into an opponent, you do twice as much collision damage just because of the thrusters that you're using. It could have all of these different assortments of abilities and powers that are then going to synergize or diversify the way that you're playing in Everspace 2 just from the modules you're plugging in alone. We haven't even talked about weapons yet, right? Excuse me. So there's going to be a lot of customization here. It's kind of like a Destiny or Diablo sort of mashup with Freelancer in that sense, where all of these items are very important with how you're choosing your equipment, how you're approaching the game space, and also how you want to play the game, right? So that's both your itemization as well as your ship itself. And we didn't even talk about the experience system yet. Because you will be leveling yourself up through time as well. Like in this upper right hand corner, we have 400 experience until level 1. And what that basically means is, like, think of any traditional leveling platform, you know, maybe go to Borderlands, right? Whenever you hit an experience point, you're going to gain a certain number of statistical increases, and you're also going to have a selection of options in a tech tree that you can then further dynamically change how you're approaching the game. So you have your ship classes, you have your ship stats, you have your itemization, and you have your player level, all of which are going to play a huge factor in how you're building yourself out through this open world RPG experience of blasting stuff in space. So there's a lot. That was answering one question from chat. Oh gosh, I gotta simplify a little bit better. But obviously I get really excited about this stuff, and for good reason. I think we have a lot of really good ideas coming together that we're formulating with you through this process, and we're really excited to show it to you, specifically when it's ready, and just have a good time doing it. So I went ahead and I changed my weapon over to an autocannon, which is the equivalent of the Gatling gun in Everspace 1. As of right now, the autocannon and the pulse laser, they're basically about the same thing because of how stats are now used in the full game. Oh, that's not gonna reach them. That was a terrible throw. But I also wanted to show you grappling, because now you do have the ability to grab onto certain things in the environment. Maybe we can get cheeky with this. Oh, maybe we can get cheeky with this guy. Okay, let's see if we can. Well, we hit him. It didn't explode though. But there's going to be a lot of physics-based objects that you will be able to interact with as well. I still haven't gone into the detail about weapons yet because there's so many different opportunities here, just in how you're engaging with the environment around you. So not only are you going to have like little barrels and stuff that you can just grab and toss around that explode, I mean, you're also going to have debris and certain asteroids, and maybe you're going to be able to upgrade your grappling ability to where you can grab onto other ships. At the very least, take on a drone, just like grab it and just chuck it into an asteroid, you know? And it just goes crazy from there, right? Just opening up the doors for you to experience the game that you want. I'm going to be saying that a lot. I've already said it a lot, but that's the intent. That's the goal. The UI got updated again, or is this an old build? This is an old build. This is the prototype. So yeah, sorry if I didn't make that clear. We are playing the live prototype build that was distributed to our backers. So everything that you see in this experience is going to be exactly what that presentation was. Some people haven't seen it before, which is why we're covering it first and foremost and being as thorough as possible here. But there is a lot of new UI to show. We will get to that in the second half of the stream. If all goes well, man, I really hope that we don't have any crashes. Dev builds, man, let me tell you what. Sometimes they can be a little flimsy. But here we also found a little piece of loot, another spaceship just floating about. We grabbed some clothing, we grabbed some seeds, some commodities. Some places are going to really desire to buy this stuff. Other places aren't going to give a damn, really. So we'll have to see what happens there. Also, I want to show this real quick. Let's talk about weapons. So we're firing a pulse laser that's basically doing no damage to this guy. This isn't because we're hitting his hull, it's because we're actually hitting armor. So with the pulse laser, we have two different types of damage output. We have kinetic DPS and energy DPS. And for those familiar with Everspace 1 might be thinking, oh, this is exactly like hull DPS and shield DPS, except it's not. It's very different. So in Everspace 1, we only had shields and hull, and armor was a reduction of the damage that the hull would take. Here, we have shields, armor, and hull. Kinetic DPS is specifically good against armor. Energy DPS is specifically good against shields, and both are good against hull. So if your opponent doesn't have any shields, and you're firing energy DPS at them, it's going to do maximum energy DPS to the hull because there's no armor blocking it. But if you were to use kinetic DPS and you're shooting at a target that has shields, that shield is going to absorb kinetic. Okay? So shield absorbs kinetic, armor absorbs energy, hull absorbs neither. Okay? What this does is it allows us to create entirely new enemy types that put a lot of emphasis on shields or armor, so that you have to really think about what type of weapon that you're utilizing. This, coupled in addition to an assortment of new attributes for your weapons, is going to shape and change the battleground considerably, just from your weapon selection alone. Now, of course, you'll also have tons of other new abilities and whatnot, I'm sure, to address your situation, but that's also the point. We want to give you a lot of different utilization in the game here. Excuse me. Geometry Prime, welcome. Hey, I'm glad that you could catch a stream as well. I know that you're always talking in Discord saying that, oh man, you have to miss it again because you got to work or something. I don't know what you do, honestly, but I love you and I'm glad that you made it here. That's a good thing. All right, so this pulse laser does crap to this armor, but we change over to our high velocity autocannon and it just shreds through that armor in no time. We'll also see that they're throwing barrel bombs at us, so we're just gonna grab one and chuck it back. And that feels good, man. So use that grappling mechanic to your advantage, because you can just take a situation that maybe seems impossible or really challenging based on how you're outfitted and just turn it right around. Because that's what we like to do. Woo, all right. Let's go over here and take out this outlaw turret before we get eaten alive. Our armor is completely eaten through. Much better. We don't have cockpit view in the prototype, but I can probably show the basics of cockpit view whenever we get to the second portion of the stream, and kind of what it has a general look and feel. I do also encourage you to check out some of the vlogs and the updates that we've posted, because we recently had, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago, we covered a lot of cockpit design and what that looks like, how it looks. We're pretty happy with the results so far, but there's a lot more to come. There's a lot more to come. Now let's go ahead and check out what's in the shipwreck. More credits per usual, just locking it in right there, and a common pulse laser. Let's get some actually new equipment to look at. So let's fly over here and show you what that looks like. First, we'll take out this outlaw scout. All right. Whoop! Hitboxes, man, let me tell you. I hope that it doesn't need to be said, but everything you see here is work in progress. So if you see something that you're like, oh, well, that didn't make sense, like that hitbox, he was totally past that. What is this game? It's completely broken. We are still a year and a half out of development for full release, okay? So you're gonna see some wonky stuff from time to time. Don't get so stuck on it. Think about the big picture at hand here, okay? That's why we do these streams and help answer questions and whatnot. So we got some new equipment. I will tell you more about the reputation system in the second half, Tulameo, actually, because I have a little, I've got some visuals to go with it. So let's save that for a little bit later, all right? But I love that question. Also, Michael, thank you so much for answering the slew of questions over on YouTube. And guys, keep asking them questions. If I miss it, doesn't mean that we are avoiding it. Of course, Michael's going to be here answering questions galore, much like you see him doing. And yeah, like we want to make sure that everything that you're asking about is getting answered. That's the goal of the stream. So please don't be shy. Don't think that something weird's happening. If you need to ask a question again because it just got skimmed over, that's fine. It's totally good. So let's talk about some of this itemization and what it looks like. So with here, we have just a comparison of our previous armor. This one is a prototype heat plating. It's a superior type of plating, and it has a lot more armor than our previous one, considerably. It also adds 9 resistance and 9 firepower, which are 2 of those different attributes of our ship that we're going to be managing through the course of the game. So we're going to go ahead and just straight up equip this. And then we also have this energy core, which it has a little addition to its recharge rate at stop and more capacity, as well as 13 utility and 10 firepower. So again, just by having these two, it's inherently increased our damage output as well, because they both have firepower associated with them. We're also going to be able to see certain types of manufacturers, that's the title, that have created specific types of equipment that may or may not have synergetic benefits for using all of the same manufacturer's supplies through the course of the game too. So let's go ahead and fly around and pick up some stuff as we are answering some more questions, because I'm sure y'all have plenty of them. We're gonna go check out this shadow creature and talk about it, because one very important thing I haven't even spoken about yet is the map. The map and how the world works. Because we're now approaching an open world RPG, this is no longer a procedurally generated roguelike sort of space that we're doing. Now, all of these locations that you're venturing to are handcrafted. They're intentionally designed from the ground up to provide opportunities for combat sequences and exploration benefits. And through that, it means that we can have very particular sets of challenges in the areas as well. So with this shadow creature, our goal is to stay out of the sun. You'll see it turns white when we go into the sun. We want to stay in the shadows. So we're going to fly over here, especially now that we took out all these opponents. We're just going to stay in the darkness as much as we can and take it over here to this other shadow creature who's very happy finding a mate. And we get a reward. It's dark matter for now. This could be so many different things. Who knows? And that challenge was pretty basic, since both of them were basically in this massive shady spot here, so that the sun, where's the sun? Right over there. The star, excuse me, wasn't able to hit us. But we could see some very complex areas where you have to navigate very carefully in order to stay in the shadows in order to complete a challenge such as that. There are a lot, let me tell you, a lot of different types of mini games and challenges that you will see because we're able to make all of this handcrafted. Everything from racetracks to detonations to like mining events to planet-side exploration of like ship caves, or excuse me, planet caves. Lots and lots of different ways to go out and complete challenges and tasks. Picking up job boards is also going to be a very specific thing in Everspace 2 as well, which will show a little bit more of that, I think, in the second hand, so that you can really see what I'm talking about firsthand. Otherwise, we're just picking up a bunch of loot. Oh, we also have a cargo unit. So this blank one over here, it expands the amount of cargo slots you have, but this can also have unique modifiers associated with it to better any other aspect of your ship as well. So the cargo unit's not just a super crazy boring expand your cargo. Like, this can have so many other benefits to help you out as well. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a meaning, should you choose to accept it and combine it with what else you find. So let's go ahead and fly back to our home base. Just for a moment. T3 Cube asks, are we going to still have the debuff from Everspace hardcore mode? I think you have to be more specific. Since hardcore mode simply does not exist in Everspace 2, it would be really difficult to have some sort of debuff from the first game's specific game state of hardcore transcend in any capacity to Everspace 2, a different game, without that game mode. Talon, oh my gosh, having fun there. So they're going to be like a legendary or unique module with special properties. Glenrod, welcome to the stream, and absolutely. In fact, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find a legendary drop and we can talk about it. But there are going to be a lot of different types of resources that you can find. Like this is just a standardized ore, but it's uncommon, right? And we have this resource, but it's superior. And obviously we saw both of these, which are superiors as well. Color-coded to your liking, much in a traditional looter shooter. So that you kind of know the tiers of where things are at in their quality. And it absolutely goes into rare. It goes into legendary, I know. I want to say exotic. I can't remember if we're specifically using that term, but the equivalence thereof. We have a lot of different types of resources that are going to have varying properties based on just the rarity alone. Yeah. I also want to jump this out there really quick because Echo's Boy asks a really good question, and it did get answered. So the platforms that Everspace 2 is going to be out on, I also want to make it very clear. We are heavily in development right now. This is not a game that's like going to be out on shelves in a couple months. In fact, we haven't even hit alpha yet. So alpha is going to be coming out, we're looking at end of May, beginning of June. I know that's kind of a loose answer. There's a lot of different factors that have fallen in place because of that. If you're interested in those factors, the super crazy long story short is it has to do with PR and marketing. It has to do with coronavirus. It has to do with other AAA publishers and developers and the timetables of everything going on. So we have shifted it back and we're looking for a really nice sweet spot to deliver it to you guys. Alpha is closed. It is a closed alpha as well as the beta. Only Kickstarter backers and web store purchasers are going to have access into that if they purchase the appropriate tier. The big day to know is going to be the end of the year, where we're going to have the doors wide open for an open early access. You'll be able to jump in on that if you've even purchased just the straight standard game early access. You will walk right in the doors. That is the end of this year. And from that point, we'll have one entire year of development before full release. So we have a lot of space to work on this title, and it will be out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, with the possibilities of further platforms, which we will make those announcements if and when the time is right to do so. One last thing to talk about, which I was supposed to start with, whoops. Basically, Everspace 1 is on all of those same platforms as well. So it's PC, Mac, Linux, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. You can also pick it up on Nintendo Switch, the original Everspace, okay? And it's also on sale right now. If you go through Steam, I believe it's 80% off, which is like about $6 US. Get it? That's the lowest it's ever been. And the DLC is also 50% off. And the DLC was not very expensive to begin with. And it adds a ton of content. So if you are interested in supporting us, even if you purchase Everspace 1 at that discount, you're getting a pretty solid game for that price, we think, we hope. And that directly supports us in all of our development for Everspace 2 forward. So definitely check that out. Encourage you to look into it. Okay, so now you know all the platforms. Now you know our timetable and everything. Cool. Making sure that's all out in the open. So let's get back in here with Everspace 2 and talk a little bit more about some of the stuff that you're going to be finding and doing. So here is a super crude rendition of mining. Okay, this is very similar to how it operates in Everspace 1, in fact, where you just see that stuff, you shoot that stuff. This was simplified because it's an arcadey space shooter, right? We didn't want you having to navigate tens of thousands of menus and figure out, okay, well, how do I need to optimize my mining equipment to do this one thing and do this expansive mini game to optimize all the layouts, and then I have to figure out all my things to do the thing. No, like, we just want you to shoot and loot and be on your way, right? The emphasis here is very much on combat, and it's very much that way in capacity with Everspace 2 as well. with a twist. Since it is an open world RPG now, I can confirm that we are looking at more intricate ways to mine ores and operate in trade lanes and do all of those things that have been hotly requested. So we are absolutely going in that direction, and we will be sharing that with you whenever the time is right, when things have been cleaned up and it's cool enough to do so. But it is in the works. All right, let's go fly around. So I showed you the map. How do we get around the map? Where are we at? What are we doing? How do we navigate this game space? So we just jumped into super light travel, and that planet we were nearby is now getting a whole lot smaller. And now we are in this actual map. So before we were just on this little tiny speck right here next to the home base, and now we are actually flying in this entire area. We're close to the star. We're navigating around this game space. There's lots of not applicable locations to explore just yet because it's a prototype, right? But you'll see that like this unknown location, that's a trading station. It's got this nice little line that comes all the way over here that connects itself over here. It's a warp gate. Like that's what it is. So you can tell that these things are connected by warp gates. We can tell that we're going to have some form of fast travel systems in place to make sure everything's happening accordingly. And we also see all the way over here that perilous, it's not connected by any means, so there's probably some other way to get there. Probably. Maybe. It's just a guess, really. So, lots of different ways that you'll be navigating the game space and moving to where you'd like to go and what you'd like to do. So we're also going to just manually fly here. We can lock onto the site, and then you can also see it says hold to skip. We could do that to have a similar way to operate like with Everspace 1, where it's like you point towards a location, you jump there, and now you're there instantly. So that way you keep that arcade action nice and fresh and rich and at the top of the game, right? You can do that. Or you can do this more casual route if you're more of a space simulation enthusiast. You can just sit back, relax, and watch the stars pass by on a very literal level. There's also things that can occur while we are flying through, like unknown signals could pop up, and maybe we want to go there and explore what's going on here that otherwise we wouldn't have seen if we would have jumped. We could also get intercepted, where somebody's locked onto our signal, and now we have to, trace this sort of graphic to escape, and then we can just keep going. Let's actually go to this unknown signal. This is a hit or miss. This might be awesome. This might be incredibly lame. Who knows? Let's see what we got. So we got some G&B freighters who are under fire, apparently. Let's go see if we can help them out. I don't even see any enemies. Looks like they made it, boys. We did it. Clearly, there's some elements we need to add and beef up a little bit. But the point is that things can happen, and you are given rewards based on how you interact with those spaces. Let's go ahead and go all the way to this mining location near the sun. And I'm just going to hold the R button to skip right to it. You'll see how close we get to the star. Boom! And now there's new stuff to do, new enemies about in this location. Let's start by going up to this scientist guy who says that they require assistance. I'm sure it'll be totally, completely legitimate and fine. Bogi Bogdanovic. Will there be a random encounter system for characters, or will it be a DLC thing like the first game? We have already started working on companions in Everspace 2. We are tying them more towards the main story, where when you find them, they'll be able to do things for you, and you'd be able to do things for them, stuff like that. So they're inherently in the core game experience in Everspace 2. there could be a lot of additions to that as well in the future. Maybe we'll add some that you can only find in like side missions, for example. But it's a hard talking point because we're still pretty heavily in development regarding the companions and what that looks like. But otherwise, yeah, that's a really good question. The quick answer is it's not going to be DLC exclusive for additional characters. You get companions right out of the gate. Excuse me. Smokin' Joe 2122, I know that there have been some answers in the chat, but I want to answer this more directly and personally because I like you. And he asks, will there be multiplayer versions? So, the official answer here is that we are a single player company focused on a single player experience. The short answer is no, but it sounds kind of lame to just say that. The intentionality here is that we want it to be a very rich game world for you, a single player, to experience and enjoy. We simply don't really want to push a multiplayer experience here because it changes the game and what we would want it to look like, and it would change so many of the systems that we even have already in place, even being a year and a half out, to where it's just not what our vision is. We don't think it wouldn't be cool. We think that it would be awesome. It's just not the game that we want to make. So maybe in the future, I don't know, maybe like future projects and stuff, maybe that could be a multiplayer thing, but that's not what Everspace 2 is. That's not what our community even wants it to be. It's very much a single player exclusive experience. But it's a really great question, and I'm glad that you dove into the chat and asked that. It's a very good question. Hazy Devil makes one more statement, and I want to address this as well. He says, co-op is as far as I'd like the game to ever go. Don't need the studio to go full-blown multiplayer route. There's plenty of studios doing that. And I do agree with that, that there are plenty of studios doing that. That's the beauty of game dev, right? Is that we have all of these rich games out there that provide all of these unique experience based on what we are looking towards. And I will say that co-op does sound like an interesting thing. I know that we've internally talked about co-op at Rockfish Games as well. Now, I'm not saying that's like a potential, like we're looking into it or anything like that. Please hear me out. Like, know that these are topics and these are decisions that we are making very carefully in the design and the approach and that core vision that we have for the game. So it's not that we're ignoring you guys and we're saying, yeah, we're not doing multiplayer. It's that we want to stick to a very clear outlook as to what we are going to accomplish to make sure it's the best thing that you guys are looking for. That is why we are taking these routes and directions through development. So again, seriously, thank you for all of your thoughts and opinions and your desire for these different elements, because we're thinking about them. Like, you make us have to, and we are going through all of our options to see what truly is the best, not only for you guys, but obviously also for ourselves. Like, it's important. It's really important. So we got this mission to align these solar panels next to the star. I question if they actually need to be aligned because of how close they are, but I digress. As you can see, this is a pretty base level mission where it's like, go to the point that's been targeted, push a button. So the reward's probably going to be incredibly vast and great for us, right? But it gives you a sense of different ways that you can engage in this game space and see and test your skills and abilities through and through. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this stuff from the shipwreck. Oh, just some credits. Lame. That's fine. I wonder if we can grab this mine before it blows up. Oh, we can! Look at that! We grabbed this mine so it didn't blow up on us, and now we can just chuck it where we want. Cool. Looks like we blew up one of those canisters that has some corrosion in it. Yee. Glad we weren't near that when it happened. Wait, did I ghost you again, Bloodstar? I swear I did. Oh my gosh, yeah, I read Hazy Devils and I didn't read Bloodstars. So there's this sort of thing that happens. Bloodstar is a very active member in our community, and I don't even know why. I just miss his comments like all the time. I swear I'm not ghosting you. But he actually also commented on the co-op where he said a co-op mode would be fun, or just lobbies for messing around in. Forget game modes and cosmetics, just have it as a place to hang out, but it is set in stone that it won't happen. So yes, thank you as well for your feedback and helping people understand how it's all going down through our development process. It's really appreciated having you here, Bloodstar, and your contributions, sincerely. I can't believe I ghost you so often. It's an accident, I swear, much like running into that asteroid. Okay, so I wanted to show another little thing here. This is an uphill slope. This is just yet another example of different ways that you can engage with the game and opportunities that it gives you. So this says race ready to start. We are now going to book it through these rings. Gotta go fast. And we can see what type of speed run check we get here. Oh my gosh, our engines went out. That was real bad. Oh, we missed that. That was the worst. This is so bad. So bad. But you'll be able to like challenge your own high scores and maybe even share them with your friends and see who can do the best. We are also looking into this is something I was going to share a little bit later in the stream, but we are looking at capturing player statistics from the game. So while we are not technically a multiplayer game, we may have the capabilities to catalog stored information from everybody's single player experiences and some type of online leaderboard, for example. This is again something that we're exploring. The possibility is potential. It's maybe there. We're looking into what that would look like if we were to pursue it. We think that it could be a lot of fun having those types of interactions with other players. So we'll see what we can do. We'll have more to talk about on that front, I'm sure. But just know that it's also something we're thinking about. So we're going to go ahead and take some of these items here. We got a marksman autocannon, which we can compare directly with our other autocannon. We've got some new bonuses here that are completely unique to this rare autocannon. This gives us plus 10% increased damage against armor, 10% chance to regenerate 20% of whole hit points with each kill, and plus 10% experience per kill. So that's a straight up bonus from what we had because it's just a standard autocannon. Then we also have a superior shield here that gives us 10 resistance. So it's just making us beefier and beefier as we go along. You're going to see a lot of this through the traditional course of gameplay. One of the things that I'm able to do in the prototype that we're exploring what looks like in the full game is that you won't be able to equip your modules unless you stop at a station. So we kind of fast-tracked it in the prototype just so you can kind of see the results quickly. But in the full game, we do want to help pace the experience a little bit to where you have to balance the timing of when to go back to bases and when to repair, when to outfit yourself with new stuff, when to change your ship out entirely. Because we don't want to have all of that stuff done on the fly. That could be just a tad too much arcadey for what we're aiming for. But otherwise, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we can manipulate and do. Oh gosh, that was really bad. Let's get rid of this freight container. It's making it really hard to navigate. So we got corrupted and our armor basically got eaten. Whoops. It happens. Let's go ahead and head over to this mining station and talk a little bit about stations and can't really talk about trade routes yet. They are going to be a thing. Anybody who's wondering, because we now have a handcrafted world, that means all of these locations, like this little indicator right next to the star right here, that says shop, right? So here's another shop. Like we could actually discover different trade lanes that could go to different shops, even across different solar systems, that could benefit your gathering of certain items. For example, let's just pretend that this star in this location, maybe there's no water worlds here. Maybe it's completely desert worlds, they're lava worlds, stuff like that, and water is kind of scarce. Okay, so maybe you go to this station and they're like, hey, we'll sell you some water for like 10,000 credits. And you're like, whoa, like that's way too much. Then you go over to maybe Kondar, okay? And this is just like water central. Every single planet's oceanic, right? It's tropical. Everything's just vibrant with color and life and water. It's just, there's like an ice field that you just like harvest all the water from forever. And so you go to the station over there and they're like, oh, you want some water? Okay, yeah, it's 10 credits. No big deal. But then if you utilize a specific trade lane route, then you could say, take that water that's so easily attainable over here and then sell it for a massive profit to this desert world that's like right next to a star or something like that. And you'll be able to utilize a lot of these different features with interacting with the various factions throughout the game. So that's kind of how we're looking at different trade laning opportunities and capitalizing on mining and maybe even smuggling of various resources. So it's not just shooty boom boom all the time. It can be if you want it to be, and that's definitely where a lot of emphasis is. But if you need a little bit of a change of pace and you want to pick up some various odd jobs and whatnot, those are going to be available to you as well. So let's go ahead and just drop in on this base, show you a little bit about what the basics look like here. Basics.
Okay.
So you have trading that you can utilize here, very, very base level, where you have lots of different goods. They provide, oh, look at that. We have got some potentially better thrusters. It's a lot better boost acceleration. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and take that. And some commodities are going to be better than others, right? Just kind of like what we were talking about. So maybe this particular station really likes Vardum crystal shards. We don't have any, but we're going to sell a bunch of other stuff anyway. Just keep things moving along. You'll notice that there's some lag as I'm trying to like click on these buttons as well. That's just because it's a work in progress game. There is a lot of lag. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background of this game that would be cleaned up and optimized at the full release. So know that that's not even something to joke about. It's like, oh, that's not a bug, that's a feature. No, like that's going to be fixed. Like there's a lot of little adjustments and modifications for doing that type of things. Oh, I forgot to talk about the rest of the base. Goodness. So you can also repair your ship. We have our full hull repair here and our armor that we can just purchase. Now it's maxed out. We can also refill our missiles that we've shot a couple of, much like that. While we do have the trading aspect, we'd also be able to manage our ship further from here, maybe even purchase a new ship in addition to their normal gears. Then we can also see the map from here, and this is where the missions, the job boards would essentially be, where you'd pick up specific jobs. So maybe that scientist that we discovered who was like, hey, turn on all these things for us. Now we land here and there's a guy who has a job is like, I need you to go eradicate the scientists. And you're like, whoa, what? Why do I need to eradicate them? They're just scummy dudes who rip everyone off. They're not scientists at all. Oh, so maybe you could have like some sort of engagements like that play out just in like side missions and stuff to navigate and explore. So bases will play a pretty big part in how you are approaching the game world and how you're doing your interactions. Let's go over here to this destroyed base. And we're getting close to showing some new stuff off. In about 8 minutes where I'm going to take a little bit of a break and hopefully get some things set up for you guys to see. And we'll go from there. So we did see derelict stations in Everspace 1. They were kind of hit or miss, but they would mostly always have some very powerful goods known as subroutines. And here, what we want to do is provide opportunities of exploration where we have this power core we find, we plug it into a power socket, and look, we got some goodies because of it. Yay, exciting. Yay. And there's a lot of little power cores and stuff floating around here. Maybe there's also like a wall that needs to like have like all this debris ripped off of it, so you'd grapple all the debris and launch it away. Or maybe there was something that you could repair in some capacity or degree, which we'll definitely be talking about in the future. Stuff like that, which can make going in and exploring sites like this very exciting, very engaging, based on your loadout and based on the way that you want to approach the game. So I think this is actually a pretty good spot to take a little bit of a breather. I'm going to answer some questions. We'll come back to this version. We'll talk about some more stuff from here. But we do want to start diving into some of the new stuff to show you this week, what's been going on behind the scenes. So I see a question. Do I consent to space cookies? Yes. Space cookies sound fantastic. Let's see. Are you planning on implementing an invasion mechanic? Asks Glenrod. I know that we want to keep our jobs and our missions pretty diverse. I think that a swarm or some type of invasion sort of thing where it's like you have to defend a base from like a bunch of fighters or a warship coming in, stuff like that. We definitely think that could be an interesting job to take on, or it's just a mission that occurs when you enter an area. So know that that's definitely something we are thinking about. We'll have to see what we're able to do. Oh man, I'm smiling. That just makes me happy. It's a great question. Gotta go. Thanks for the answers. Hey, you're welcome, Smokin' Joe. Thanks for swinging by and asking. It's really appreciated. Will each commodity have a unique icon? So we want to make it as unique as possible between commodities, right? We don't want it to look really stale. Because it's a prototype, there's obviously a lot of things that just simply aren't in place yet. So you do see a lot of placeholder stuff. I'm sure we'll have more to show and more to like diversify from one another in the future. Since the perspective can be changed, cockpit customization would be nice. Just an idea. Oh yeah, we agree. That would be pretty dope, wouldn't it? Anyone having chat connection issues? Oh no! That's unfortunate, Michael, but don't you worry, I'm answering questions now! We're taking care of you guys! It's good. Lag in selling items represents the time the item takes to get moved from the ship. Confirmed. Oh my gosh, Talon. Now remember, we are going for an arcadey game. It doesn't mean that we want to make it so arcadey that it's like cringeworthy, right? Like we're adding in these features that do provide some semblance of realism. Intentionally, right? We understand our audience. We understand what you're looking for. We're not oblivious to that. So we are taking those necessary proactive measures in accordance with keeping it fast-paced. Hey! Oh, excuse me. Hey, Surf, how's it going? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Will there be any mini games that don't involve flight? I believe the best way to answer that is yes. Yes, there will be. I can't get into the specifics, but if you've been watching the vlogs and been seeing some of the discussions that we've had in the updates, you'll actually have seen a couple. Oh my goodness, the music cut off for me to cough. Excuse me. My apologies. Only reason I'm coughing is because I'm drinking a lot of water. Well, the game nights. I can't wait for this game to come out in its full glory. I have no questions. I just want it to be amazing, and I'm sure it will be. I just want to go do the shootings for the loots. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you're just being straight honest. We're glad that you're excited. We also hope that even though you just want to straight go to the game and you don't really have any current questions, we hope that you will join us along the way of development, because your voice is incredibly important to us. The whole reason why Everspace 1 became what it was is because of our community feedback and support. This is actually why we are very passionate about our alpha, even though it's closed. We're very passionate about our closed beta, and very, very, very looking forward to our open early access at the end of this year, so that we can soak in what your guys' thoughts are in our presentation and really make the moves to make this not just a good game in our eyes, but a great game in yours. So again, greatly appreciate your excitement. Let's do this together if we can, okay? All right, so I'm going to take a quick breather, and I'm going to set up some new stuff to show you. We're also going to talk about some of the concept art that we looked at last week that Will so generously popped in for us. So it should be a good time. So in the meantime, I just want to go ahead and jump over here. I hope. Yes, there we go. So you can kind of see the different sights and sounds of where to follow us, where to hang out with us. Because like it's important, just as I was talking about community, like your voice is incredibly important to us. So definitely join us along for the ride through Discord. Follow us on Twitter, both at Rockfish Games and at Everspace_game. And then of course you can also follow us on Twitch and YouTube at the respective title / Rockfish Games. So I'm gonna get some stuff prepared to show you some new things, and we'll be back in a few minutes, so just hang tight. Okay, guys, thank you so much for patiently waiting. We are going to hopefully dive right back into this without any problems. Ooh, I'm nervous. All right. So this is now the live build that we currently have working on with Everspace 2. I've put myself in a precarious position, so hopefully things won't be too bad. Here, let's get some sound. Okay. So the first thing to even point out is that we already have a UI update, some new stuff that you can see here. I can't really go into too much detail on these different things, but just note that I can mouse over them and you can kind of look and see what it says. There's going to be a lot more stuff to talk about here, as well as like having these automated features here so that whenever you fly into a base, you could just restock and repair immediately, which I think is kind of a nice added feature. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at two specific drones, one of which is the sniper drone and the other is the detonator drone. Both of these drones were shown in one of our updates somewhat recently, but you never got to see what they do and how they interact inside of the game. So hopefully that's exactly what we will be doing. Also, Stefan Peterson, I love your statement there. He says, if I were to vote for the most important thing for me in the game, it would be end game bosses. And I think that we're actually inclined to agree with you there. Like, obviously we want a lot of meaningful little enemies to engage with in order to collect your loot. But if the big bad guys aren't very interesting and they aren't very powerful, then you know, it doesn't really feel good. And we want to make sure that a big part of the game is being challenged, is being something because like a game that's not challenging, I mean, what is that? What does that look like? So 1 second, I have to do one thing. Medicine. All right, so let's go ahead and fly out of here and see what's going on out in this area. So you'll see that we've got, I just dropped a lot of drones in here that we're going to engage with and see what we can do. Hopefully we won't get sniped to death. That's a very realistic possibility. But you can see a lot of the UI has been cleaned up with how we're looking around. You can see that we do have a very generic interior of the Starfighter as of right now that you can kind of look through and see how things are shaping up, right? So we're definitely making a cockpit view that everyone's going to be able to enjoy. Also, do we have, actually I need to see if I have nanobots. Okay, yeah, we do. Nanobots medium, that's good. You can just kind of see like some more of the updates to the UI here. Some pretty significant ones, including like our special for each of the different ships. So like, for example, the special on this particular ship is that it has a buff increase. So any time that we have a positive status effect, it actually increases it for a specific duration. And then we also have a 5% movement speed buff for every enemy affected by an EMP, which we start with an EMP on this ship. So you can get crazy fast if you hit a bunch of foes. Here you can also see the management of the 6 different attributes. We have firepower, precision, structure, resistance, utility, and repair. And then right behind my head, whoop, you also have the cruise speed and handling, which handling is cut off. Just so. Still tweaking the UI a little bit here and there. And there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense, and we'll just have to talk about that in a future area. I think I can also go here. Yeah, so this is where you get to see our ultimate, which is called Static Overload. And then here's where we see the device called the EMP Generator that also has 3 different locks on there, if you can see that. This is actually something that we wanted to talk about so that we wanted to take a different direction with the devices this time so you can very specifically modify the way your devices work. So it's not just EMP generators the same the entire time and it's void from like having unique modifiers like all the other equipment. No. This allows you to have a very specific direction you build your device. So the 3 different options that we have here, for example, is that we have short circuit. The shields of affected targets take 11 damage per second while they're EMP'd. That's option 1. Option 2, hard reset. The cooldown reduced by 2 seconds for every target killed during the effect. So if you hit with an EMP and you take out your opponents, it reduces the EMP's time until you can use it again, the more kills you get. So you could use it effectively like over and over again if you're really good at taking out your opponents. And then the third one is called Shield Surge, which restores 20 shield hit points for every target hit by the blast. That's right, so if you're low on shields and you're like, I'm stuck in a bind, I have my EMP, you hit that and then restore a massive amount of shields while disabling your foes. So you can see that you have different opportunities and different directions that you're going to be able to take all of the different devices that you will have. And you have 4 slots of devices with 3 different unique modifiers that you can apply to them. Okay, so at the start of the stream, we were talking about customization. It just keeps getting crazier from here, guys. Like it's actually insane how much stuff you're gonna be able to tweak and modify to your liking. And like the specials, the ultimates are bound to the type of ship you're flying. The specials can actually be different even based on the same type of ships. And then there's so much other stuff to customize from there. It's kind of absurd. I'm trying to remember which buttons I can click. Oh my gosh. I'm waiting for Bloodstar and LOL Hype to just be like, E! But yeah, so we have just a bunch of different commodities here. You can actually like organize your commodities too. Pretty basic standard stuff of organization, just so that you can see kind of like where everything's at and how it's stacking up in your inventory. But yeah, I actually can't show the map just yet to LOL Tulameo because we might crash. So I want to show the drones first, and then we're going to attempt to show the map. If we have a problem with assessing the map, don't worry, I have a backup plan. Michael gave me permission to show you guys an exclusive new screenshot. All right? Exclusive new screenshot straight out of the game. So hopefully we can get things to work correctly, though. So first, let's try and take on these drones. Maybe it'll be hilarious. Maybe it'll be embarrassing. I don't know. So we have some sniper drones, and we have a bunch of these detonator drones protecting it. Sniper drone looks like he doesn't even care about me. Take that. Are you gonna fire at me? I swear this was working right before I pushed the go button. This drone is just looking at me. Okay, this is a problem. So while we were distracted by that sniper drone, it was a ploy the whole time. It was a ploy the whole time, guys. The sniper drone was like, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you. And it never shot. And look who snuck up on us. We've got these mad detonator drones with the skull and crossbones on the front of them. Look at them. They're all sneaking over while we were distracted looking at this freaking sniper drone. Oh my gosh. But let's look at the model a little bit here. You can kind of see, you know, straight out of traditional sci-fi thing. We've got this heavy railgun option for this thing that would be pummeling us from afar, but he done fooled us all. This could get really explosive. Oh boy. But you can see, like, we're taking a lot of heavy inspiration from our designs from Everspace 1, and we're just going ham with it. We want to make each one of these ships, like, look at the detail work we have going on with these pipes. Like, each one of these ships, even if it's a drone, like, we're taking very strong attention to detail with how it stylizes the game. So let's just go past our ship, which is probably about ready to explode, and look and see a little bit more of how these guys operate. You can even see, like, the detail work inside of this thing. Like, they've got this bomb ready to blast with this intricate engine behind them. Oh my gosh. Let's take a look at one that's not so ready to explode. You can you can see, like, man, even the numbers and the call signs. I know somebody's writing down these numbers, so I'm just gonna wait there a bit. There you go, LOL hype, you're welcome. Oh gosh, oh! So you can also hear them the closer they get. Oh gosh. Let's get some distance. The pinging sound is terrifying. So they're basically sentient mines. Whew. This would be a lot harder if this thing was firing at us, the sniper drone. I'm honestly not sure why he's not firing, but we're just gonna chalk that up to work in progress. You can see him visibly start shaking. Oh, look at that. We got all 4 of them in a single shot. That feels good, man. Whew. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of terrifying new things around corners. And I didn't even mention too much about how the focus within Everspace 2, it's not just about more of this open world. It's also about many more super tight fast-paced corridors that you're going to be navigating as well. While I can't actually show it off, we've made some pretty significant changes to our tutorial, and we're still exploring what that looks like. Even the tutorial section starts you off in the middle of an asteroid, and you're navigating these close quarters where combat is not something where you can blast from far away. It's like you have to be navigating around some really tight corridors to take them on. You combine that with some dastardly drones that are waiting around a corner to just pop on you, and things are going to get really interesting really fast. And you have to figure out what the best way is to navigate that, whether it's with sheer speed, with a lot of flexibility of utility options, or with all guns blazing. Whew. I'm seeing some questions over on YouTube. I want to make sure you guys are getting answered. So let me just take a quick pause. Make sure you're getting what you need. You had ideas about the bosses? Want to hear them? I do want to hear them, but I would recommend posting them on Discord or our official forums. You can go to discord.gg/rockfishgames, or you can just straight up go to forum.everspace. Forum.everspace? Is that what it? Crap! I forgot what our forum website is. Oh my gosh! But essentially, you can go to Everspace-game. Oh my gosh! Everspace-game Oh my gosh, guys! I can't remember any of the websites. The point is that we have a forum that we would love all of your ideas. Wow. I am pretty sure that it's everspace.game. That's what it is. There's a forum, you can go to there. Michael's dropped it in chat. Thank you so much for doing that. Oh my gosh. But we love all of your ideas, all of your opinions. They're so important to us. Even if, like, and I'm serious about this, like, if you just straight up hate the game space, you absolutely are appalled by some sort of mechanic, tell us. Please do so in a capacity that's, supportive, but tell us, because we don't know if it's that bad unless you guys are saying it and we hear a common denominator from the audience overall, right? So yes, absolutely, we want to hear your boss idea. Make sure you drop it somewhere and let's have a discussion about it. Maybe what you have is already being implemented. Maybe what you have is better than our ideas. Maybe what you have is absolutely garbage, and that's okay because we can't figure that out until we have a discussion. Cool. Will there be an option to put a custom soundtrack into the game? Sure. Mute the music and play your own music. If you're referring to like a custom soundtrack, like a radio on your ship, that's not something we've really looked into. So my guess is going to be a pretty hard no to that one. But doesn't mean we won't talk about it from this point. A good question. I loved the first Everspace. Can't wait for the next. Your excitement is so thrilling, Charles. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. We're working hard. In fact, I'm showing new content with Everspace 2 right now. Let's go back to space and just kind of float around. I'm going to try pushing the map button, guys. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It could just straight up crash on us, but if it does, don't worry, we have a backup plan. Let's see what happens. It crashed. It's fine. Everything's fine, everybody. Everything is totally good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop open the super secret emergency picture and talk about it. Because that's what we do around here. We talk about things. So guys, I would like to present to you regions. Map regions. That's right. Regions of the map. That's what this is. So let's talk about it a little bit. What you're seeing on screen is not technically implemented into the game. This is a piece of concept art that is meant to look like it is coming straight out of the game, okay? So what you see here, specifically in these regions, if you see this highlighted one right here, this is a GMB mining field, okay? So you can see that like this planet here, we have the star right here, the Ceto main star. We have a little picture of it. We have all the options of what's available there. And we know that this is just like, these are the details of this main area. So that's what's selected right now. But we also have these other names and titles that I'm sure LOL Hype's writing down frantically right now, where you can see like these regions known as the home turf all the way up here. You have the GMB mining field, this entire grade area, right? Which is where we currently exist because we're right next to 09, whatever that means. We have this little indicator right here that displays star planets regions. We have a zoom feature right here. And you can see like all of these different areas and locations, they're not just random points in the system itself. They are, in fact, parts of different regions. So what are regions? Why do we care about them? Let's talk a little bit about this in order to do that as well. Right up here, we see these two little red dots. So, LOL Hype, you were asking questions about reputation, and now is the time to start discussing what reputation looks like to some degree, okay? We're still fleshing some things out, so don't get like too super crazy. But let's talk about this. Essentially, this is a representation of a wanted meter. Pretty straightforward, all right? You've been doing some bad things in this territory known as the GMB mining field, and it's probably, this is your wanted meter with the GMB. So if you're flying to their specific regions, like this GMB mining field here, and you're trying to pick up job boards, you're probably not going to have the best of luck here, right? I think we could all kind of deduce that, right? Versus if you go over to like the hinterlands over here by a Symbian. I hope you're still taking notes, Tulameo. Like maybe there's a base over here that's a completely different faction. Maybe it's the outlaws that, you know, maybe you started off pretty gruff and rough with, and now they're like, hey, you know what? You're not square with the GMB. Maybe you have a couple jobs you could do to really address them and take them out, but you have to go through their GMB mining field where you've got this wanted meter. And this is going to shape and change the ways that you are engaging with the very jobs that you're taking on, right? So it's not simply just a matter of if you've shot them and if you've done a job for them. There's some alterations in the actual game space as well through these regions. We have open space down here. We have this shattered planetoid over here. We have deep fields. We have interstellar space all the way to the left and to the right around this area. I wish I could show you more of this. It's heavily in development. I do want to point out and mention, this is not technically implemented into the game space. This is concept art of what we are aiming it to look like as an end goal for us. So, regions. What do you guys think? Do you like the thought of having different regions that you have to explore and navigate around? Is this something that's not interesting to you? Do you see so much more that could come out of this with a persistent game world where your actions will define certain jobs and certain missions? That's what I'm going for. Excellent. So really happy to show this little piece off for you guys. Hopefully it's getting your mind thinking and what we can do. So we do have a couple other, where are my other images? I know I pulled up other images. Wanted to talk a little bit more about some other elements. Let me just try this again. Yeah, okay, so now it's working. I don't know why it didn't work before, but that's fine. So we also showed some other details off from last week. Will showed us these colors. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about them because I know that we had a lot of questions pertaining to like, are we stuck to choosing one of these options and what does that look like and blah, blah, blah. So let's go ahead and talk about that as well. Excuse me. But before I do that, you guys are asking so many questions. Let me address some questions. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I just want to go. I want to show you all the things, okay? Guess the crash answers my earlier question that this game is still not in early access yet. Oh yeah, Bear Hug, we are way out of early access. We haven't even hit alpha. So yeah. Will there be a way to check reputation outside of the map? Ask Resurgum79. Your home base or in a menu showing your reputation in all sections. So we do want the ability to see like where you stand with other enemies, other factions, excuse me. That is definitely something we want to make accessible to the player for sure. But we also don't want to make it like so expansive and mind-blowing. It's like you have to check every other system. Oh, well, can I even go there? How's my reputation standing? Like, what do I need to do to correct it? Like, it's not going to be like this super crazy elaborate system. It's far more on a level of you're on good terms with them, you're on bad terms with them. And you're going to be able to shake up that process and throughout your choices that you're choosing, your jobs and your side missions. And even through the main story arc, that's going to have some manipulation of the reputation system as well. But it's not like anything so crazy detailed that you have to constantly be looking within menus and calculating your results of like your trade lanes and all this type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there will be ways to see that, especially through the job boards. But obviously, we have a means to see base level reputation standings through the regional map display as well. Can we get that high-res image on Discord? Yes, we will be posting the high-res images that we are showing here onto the Discord shortly after the stream for two reasons. One, because I know that you guys won't let me not do that. And two, because I love you. Yay, 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 yay. All right. Is it going to remain a 2D map? Space is less of 2D plane. T3 Cube, you are correct. Space is in fact not 2D. However, in a game space, it is far more optimal for the human brain and how it sucks in all of its data that it receives into a 2D plane for a video game in order to keep things very easily organized and manageable. Else, it would get absolutely absurd to have all these different points in all these different areas up and down and everywhere. You even see that 3D planar ability used to a very light degree in other games like No Man's Sky, for instance, because if it were to be expansive up and down as well as side to side, it would be challenging to say the least. So good question. Region wars, one faction taking over another region. I love this question so much. I love it so much. In fact, there is a part in the prototype where we show the takeover of a hostile enemy base. You guys have probably all played it out there who have the prototype, and if you haven't, you need to go right next to you, the Outlaw Turf. There's a base there, and when you fight it, you have to destroy all the components of the base, and then you get a little reward. This is definitely something that we're exploring in the full game, where your interactions with points of interests, like bases, like entire regions, like stations, like warships, like planets themselves, like mining fields, like X, Y, and Z, those are going to have some kind of permanent impact in that region that you are going to have to deal with based on your actions. It could be as simple as a base is permanently destroyed and doesn't come back until X number of game hours. It could be something as complicated as having a new rival gang with a trade lane that they're disputing in order to ship very questionable supplies through the fields that now you have to suffer for the rest of that expanse, and now it's completely changed the products at the local stations. You know, we're looking at anything and everything in between that, and how deep we can really go. Again, remember, at the core, this is an arcadey space shooter, and the reputation system and these lasting effects in the galaxy, we want it to be meaningful, we want it to be impactful, but we are also not making it so much to where it's like completely game-changing. But yes, we do want it to be in a way where your actions do define what these stations and these regions look like based on your interactions and based on the faction interactions in those areas too. We'll see how expansive we get, but I love the idea of region wars. I love the idea of a faction taking over another's regions. I'm sure that there will be different types of indicators, maybe even different colors, showing you who owns what and how and why, and, you know, various other things like that. So more information in the future. Yay! Yay! Because we're still a year and a half out. Woo! Good stuff. The Game Knight says regions would be amazing. It would definitely allow for some unique experiences in each one, like having smaller worlds with a larger space. Yeah, I agree. All right. So yeah, good stuff. So let's talk a little bit more about these ship colors, because I know you guys did have some questions, and there's a lot of stuff to look at here. Like, I'm just going to start kind of in the upper left, and we're going to move along. And feel free to shout out the number of the one that you want to see more in detail. Let me just move over here for a second. And just kind of like the different color options you say your favorite ones. I think we all have like kind of our own sort of specific ones that we favor more than others. I know for myself, I'm a 15. I love the gold stylization of number 15. Gold and orange. They're like my favorite colors forever. So I think it's hot. 15 is hot. But I also want to explain a little bit further in how 15 is probably not going to be my ship color, because I would like to customize mine a little bit deeper. All right, so I see some numbers getting shout out. Bloodstar says 8. Let's look at Bloodstar's ship. Oh, of course, because it looks all like it's blood. That's pretty nice. I like that color scheme. That's great. I think you got a really good choice there, Bloodstar. I think that's great. Tweedledees says 33 for me. Oh my gosh, it's kind of like a poison corrosion style. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that a lot. That's a good choice. It's a really good choice. We got Hazy Devil saying 23 right over here. Ooh, look at you guys have some really good selections. I love that. Yeah, and I see that Resurgam has also chosen 23, so that's must be a popular one for sure. We also have 5. Oh, the straight blue one. I think that's a classic look. Very good. And then 46 jumping all the way down here. Oh yeah, like the white to the gray and the baby blue. That's pretty good too. Oh my gosh, look at all these wonderful color options. Love 41. What I see. Where's 41? Whoops. 41 over here. Oh yeah, kind of like the lemon, the lemony fresh one. Yes, I like that. That's a good choice too. These are great choices, guys. Is there a dark purple one? Let's look. I don't actually see a dark purple. I see some like neon purple highlights on this neon styled ship here. Kind of getting some Tron vibes. I like that one. Yeah, that one's good. 33 Vosk. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Hazy Devil, I agree. 22, bro. Oh yeah, 22 is good. Yep. 23 Mortal Kombat. 41 reminds me of Darkstar 1. Okay, yeah. Okay, nice. but also 9. Oh my gosh. There's so many options. I like this one too. I think this one's really clean. It's got like that metallic feel to it with just some nice, just some pop-in colors that really bring it to life in a pleasant way. I like that a lot. These are really good choices, guys. I'm just going to keep it scrolled out for a little bit so you can see more. Beer Hug says, I'm sure someone will come up with at some point with a pink unicorn. Oh, I hope so. I absolutely hope so. I want to see some wonky color options that you guys choose. So this is the classic color where everything kind of stems from. This is Rockfish Red, believe it or not. So like if you look at the colors here, Rockfish Games, you can see that it's pulled straight out of that. Rockfish Red is also kind of the staple color in the franchise. So 29 looks like a scrapyard ship. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that effect. I also like this one as kind of a scrapyard ship too. Both of those are kind of like my scrappy ones that I go to. But yeah, it's good. So all of you have been picking all of these various colors that are shown on this screen. I want to talk a little bit more about this RGB and what that means. Okay, so let's discuss that. Oh, Michael has 25. We got to shoot 25 really quick. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice one, Michael. Formula One John player style classic. That's great. That's a good choice too. 28 looks like a PC fan. What? Bro, you need to clean your PC more often. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, so let's talk about what RGB means, okay? So on a general level, whenever you see any type of RGB in game development, what that means is that it is a color selection for the identified territories. So this is actually a mock-up. This is basically a placeholder ship that shows how a customized color grading would apply to the ship style itself. So the R, the red, all of that is color option 1. All of the G is what color option B would be painted on. And B, blue, is all of the third color option. What this means is you choose the colors of the ship. So even though we have all of these options, these ship color examples that you can choose from, you can still choose whatever colors that you want and apply it to your ship. You get to choose. That is what this means, okay? So do not think that you're restricted to one of these options. You get to choose. Game Nights likes 22. Yeah, I think 22 is a popular one. I like the way that it pops. One of the ones that I actually really like this one. I think it's a really clean look. It has a classic sort of rockfish style to it, but it just feels a little bit more meaty. This one's also a classic. I like the dark greens, but then the highlight orange. Oh my gosh, there's too many nice selections here, and yet you can still customize it how you want based on the 3 different primary colors that you choose, or rather a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary color to your choosing. Now, the degree of this color customization, that is something that I do need to figure out. I think that we're still trying to figure it out as well. What I mean by that is if you would choose from a selection of color palettes, like what we did with Everspace 1, or if you would be able to choose the range of your hue and the value thereof. So I know that we want to be really careful with the customization as a whole. We don't want our ships to look ugly. I think that's a good way of putting it. So the customization we want to provide you, we want you to be able to go crazy and do what you want, but we still want there to be a nice polish at the end of the day. So we'll see how much customization that looks like in choosing 3 completely different colors. But that's really the end goal. So we'll see what happens. 23 zoom. 23 zoom. Yes. Yes. I like that one too. It's a great choice. Oh my gosh, T3 Cube. That's disgusting. He says, all of these options, and you get to choose the colors you want to apply to your ship. Not included by default. $4.99 per color. Tax not included. No. Boo. No. We're not doing that. That's disgusting. Get that out of here. Boom. No. We don't operate like that. Like the only reason that we included a stylization in the DLC for Everspace 1 is because it was added on to all of the other stuff. Like, it wasn't just buying a couple ship skins. The ship skins were like the smallest thing in the DLC package of Everspace 1. And with Everspace 2, we would absolutely look to add meaningful content through a DLC package, not just a couple ship skins. We ain't doing horse armor, okay? There's no horse armor going to be happening in this game. I can assure you on that. Oh my gosh. 3 is bright as hell. Oh my gosh, yeah. I really like that one. Nice solid yellows. Absolutely. Maximus says that would be disgusting. Yeah, I was appalled reading that message. Excellent. Okay, so let's look at some other stuff. We also did talk about the GMB carrier. Just a little bit, so you can really start to see the definitive styles and looks that we have for the various factions in the game. A lot of you guys are familiar with GMB. For those of you who aren't, this is the mining corporation who basically has a monopoly in the demilitarized zone. They were left over from the war. They formed a pact with the Okar, and they said, hey, we're going to mine our stuff, and we won't mess with you. How's that sound? And the Okar are like, okay. And so they've been finding all of these rare resources, all these valuable equipments, and just decking themselves out on these Grady and Brunt prospect vehicles. And much like any traditional format, you have the various styles of Grady and Brunt even within itself. So like you have the standard logo of Grady and Brunt, but then you also have text that's been simplified, like Grady Brunt prospects, right? Which you see in like a lot of different types of corporations. They have like multiple logos and stuff. You'll see that scattered about the various ships and stations that you'll encounter as well. Like you'll see some older logos and some newer logos and a mixture of that to see like where the GMB's been for a while versus where they haven't. Stuff like that. Just like little details like that we're having a lot of fun with to show how they've upgraded themselves and how beefy they've become. I mean, just goodness gravy. This is a hangar bay right here. This is a hangar bay. So this is not a small ship in the slightest. Not a small ship at all. And I also want to be clear here. This is not like a traditional mining vessel. This is a carrier. This could be straight up militarized vessel that is going to be cruising for a bruising, even though oh my gosh. Even though the prospects within the peace treaty stipulate no military colonial presence, GMB, they go ham with this type of stuff. They go absolutely ham with this type of stuff. And that's why they have a lot of big guns, especially in Everspace 1. And you're going to see them with these GMB carriers in Everspace 2 that are just dangerous. No anime girl skin. Hey, we have a lot of time to work on our game. What if we want horse armor? Oh, goodness gravy. Gosh. Surely you understand what I mean by horse armor, right? Horse armor DLC. If this is not something that you are familiar with, I highly encourage you to just like straight up Google horse armor DLC and you'll see a discussion point all about microtransactional pay models. It'll be a fun time. Make one big station, and I mean big, where you can make encounters as you proceed through the story, pick up bounties, and play minigames. A lot of ships will be docked at the station. Okay, so you're throwing in some interesting ideas that may or may not already be implemented in the game. I would suggest those types of ideas be posted in Discord, be posted in the forums so that we can carry on a proper discussion, since we are trying to cover a couple more elements here. But I do like that concept, Bobby. All right, so let's look at this colonial light cruiser. Now you'll see that the color palette is identical between the GMB carrier and the colonial light cruiser. There may or may not be a reason for that. It's not just a coincidence. But note that these are two different factions in the game. Grady and Brunt Prospects, again, is that mining corporation that just owns the heck out of this area after the Okar colonial conflict. In fact, a lot of the G&B militarized assets stem from colonial technology. G&B militarized assets stemming from colonial technology. Just pointing that out just in the moment. So this colonial light cruiser, this is something that was more within the battles of the Okar colonial conflict, where you see far more focus on big guns and ships, ship squadrons to facilitate winning a war. And this colonial cruiser, this light cruiser, I mean, you can still see for scale, like this is just the little bitty bridge right here, right? This is just the little bridge, and we have a slew of fighters that could jump out of here to attack any adversary that they face. This is also the colonial logo. For those of you who do not know, this logo can actually be seen in Everspace 1, I believe. I'm questioning everything, but I know that we also, like, you're going to be able to see a lot of these logos and their representations throughout the game. We're being very intentional about the lore of the world and how expansive that is. So maybe some things are going to seem like they're out of place, but it's very, very intentional when we add certain logos and address certain ships as owned by X, Y, or Z because of how they operate and under what pretenses they operate from. In fact, in Everspace 1, all of the player ships were colonial fighters. Every single one of them. And that's intentionally designed as well. For those of you who've gone through the entire story, you know. And I just love the general look and feel of this. I hope you guys do too. So you can see a lot of different ports of hangars and putting the cruising for a bruising on things. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Outlaw Viper here. Michael actually gave me a little bit more information. I do apologize. I need to actually jump over and grab that information. So while I'm doing that, I wanted to just point out to you guys, we have some of these sites and sounds that you can go to. I've been casually saying, hey, go to the Discord and go to the forums to like expand upon some of the ideas that you may have for our game, since we're still heavily in development. This is where you can do so. It's cool. It's fun. It's a fun, good time. So please keep that in mind. And yeah, so that's good stuff, right? I wasn't doing this to get some information ready to talk about. Okay, perfect. So this is an outlaw ship. Outlaw factions are going to vary wildly. It's not going to be something where it's like the outlaw are a faction. Okay, I want to make that very clear. In fact, I'm going to say that again because I know that in Everspace 1, it really feels like there's the outlaw and the Grady and Brunt Prospects and the Okar. The outlaws are not just one big faction buddy with one another, okay? There are multiple different outlaw factions that we will see and grow to know. We actually saw one of those within Everspace 1 in the form of the DLC, and it was known as the Coalition, okay? The Coalition are one faction of outlaw. Grady and Brunt Prospects could very well have different factions of it as well. In fact, we even saw the job boards that separated different parts of G&B that you can actually work for. So we can see a lot of variety coming out of each one of these different types of factions that we're including that are like sub-factions as well. So when you see something like this Outlaw Viper, don't immediately think it's only outlaws and there's every single outlaws. Maybe we could even see some of this playing a significant role to your benefit. But I digress. I've said too much. Let's talk about this Outlaw Viper a little bit further. So with this Outlaw Viper, you can tell that this is a machine that opens up, right? We have foldable flaps here. From the backside, it looks like kind of, you know, a traditional player ship almost. Pretty big and bulky, but you can also tell from the scale from the cockpit that this is probably more like the size of maybe even a drone. So this is not something that looks like a massive ship here, unless that cockpit, there's like, you know, tens of people all in it. I doubt it, because that would be a really open cockpit to blast. But we see are these foldable wings right here. These wings, these pop open and have a bunch of scatter guns on the inside of this, right? So think of the jaws of a viper, because that, you know, makes some sense. The jaws of a viper ready to just clamp down on their foes, in this case with a barrage of firepower. This thing fires not only corrosion missiles from afar, but it also fires with these autocannons, these scatter guns all about it. So if it's first seeking you out to poison its prey from afar, and then it will come up close and personal to just devour its target. Yikes. When close to the target, it will sometimes switch to a drone behavior where it folds out the armor or some geometry and orbits around the target with its scatter guns, okay? And at some point, it will turn around and boost away and change to a normal attack behavior again. So each one of these different ships has a different attitude, a different way that it approaches you, and depending on what faction or sub-faction that it's associated with, can be absolutely your demise or an opportunity waiting to happen. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of cover some of these elements that were shown last week that we didn't really expand upon too much more. I just felt like you guys deserve to know, you know, like you deserve to know more of the details within this, and what our ideas are and how everything's kind of panning out. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer back over to this little area one more time, where you can see where you can join up with us, hang out with us, all that type of stuff. And we're gonna dive back into, hopefully, the Everspace 2 live build, and maybe get this map opened up to show you a little bit of what's going on. I hope. It would be really cool if I could show you, just to give you guys a little bit more of a sense of how things have developed and where they're moving towards. It didn't crash. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to show you very briefly a very basic rendition of what our map currently looks like. Okay? This is the current build. The map is working. Just wanted to show you just some very basic stuff. As you can see, I can scroll out here, and all of these sights and sounds that we've shown in the past, they very much so exist. You can see some new lines have been added. You can see some planetoids have been added. There's a lot coming. But most importantly, we can see these regions that we were talking about before. These are explorable locations that you will be going to, that you'll be discovering more information about as you play the game. This is not inherently bound just when you warp in and learn. You must discover these areas, who's in control, why, and how you can modify that if you can. So, very, very exciting to know that this is the direction we're going in, guys. These regions are very important to us. We know that you guys want to see a lot happen in how the way that you're approaching the game does matter. The way that you're approaching the game is going to shape and transform the future of your decisions. That's the direction we're taking. We hope that you're going to enjoy this along the path with us. I want to push one of these other buttons so bad, and I can't remember which ones I can push. Oh gosh, I'm stuck. But basically just know there's a lot. Look at all these buttons though. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to be exploring and customizing, and oh my gosh, it's crazy. Geometry Prime S. Michael RFG, which buttons can Eric push? Oh, I want to push them all, but just know that heavily in development. I know that I can actually push this one because this goes back to the inventory. We were talking about that. Okay, crafting's not implemented yet. Okay, good. Didn't get in trouble with that one. The ship. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about this one more time. I'm being so careful. Okay, so let's talk about the ship one more time, just for anybody who doesn't know about the ships or anything. I just want to cover this ground because we did talk about this earlier in the stream as well, and I think it's a really important element. So obviously there's a bunch of stats behind my face that are showing like your specials, your shield, your armor, your hull, a bunch of stuff that's not really explained too much. Don't worry about it. We will explain more of this. The most important things are the static overload over here, which temporarily turns the ship's primary weapons into lightning guns, firing arcing electricity at enemies and everything around them. This ultimate is exclusive to the Sentinel as of right now. Then we also have this device that can be modified. Your devices can be modified through your exploration, through your experience gains, and through the collection of certain elements. Like with the EMP generator, the short circuit modifier will allow all the shields of affected targets to take 11 damage per second. Hard reset allows the cooldown reduced. The cooldown becomes reduced by 2 seconds every time you get a kill from a target that is under the effects of EMP. And shield surge, which restores 20 shield points of your own for every target that you hit. So lots of different ways that you can change the nature of how even something as simple as an EMP generator operates as it grows. And there's a lot of different devices that you'll be able to do this with. So yeah, it's gonna be good fun time. Good fun time. Whew. Okay, I see a question. I want to make sure it gets answered. Excuse me if I am wrong, but I have the impression that the Colonial Light Cruiser has almost the same colors as the GMB ships. No, this is correct. Yes, they have, in fact, the exact same colors. This may or may not be intentional, but we will explain more about that in the future. Just keep pressing E. Oh my gosh, too little, too late. I think this is our inventory. I think I can go. Wait, can I? No, I can't go here. That would have been a bad button to push. But yeah, I would really like to show you the mission setups, but it's just not implemented well enough to where we can do that. But just do know that we have a lot of data, a lot of information that we're going to be bringing to you in the future, and we're really, really excited to bring that presentation to its fullest. Oh, a sniper drone's working. Check it out. So you see the 3 targets. Wait, does it not have sound? So you see the 3 lines. There you go. So you can hear it there. It does a lot of damage. Really don't want to get hit by it. Let's use our EMP generator. Doesn't look like it's actually affected by the EMP generator, but I digress. I think there's going to be drones over here. Let me actually just fly over here and check, and we'll just show them off really quick again. Yeah, look at our detonator drones. So a sniper drone protected by a bunch of detonator drones. Ouch. Oh, that's so much damage. Oh, and our primary weapons got damaged. Ouch. So yeah, let's actually talk about that for a second too anyway. This is important. One thing into the next. I love it. We only have a couple more minutes left, so just going to talk about this as well. In Everspace 1, we had components of the ship that could get damaged, and so you had to go into your repair tab, and from there you repaired very specific parts of your ship. Now, every single part of your ship can actually be damaged or overheated in some capacity or degree. So what happened there is that we got exploded, and now we actually got one of the easier ones. The ramp-up duration has been decreased, so it takes longer to start our firing using the autocannon because it's damaged. But we can repair it, or we could dismantle it, unequip it, etc., etc. Our armor also got damaged as well, So you can tell that it's completely drained, it's damaged. So we'd have to go repair that at a station in order to use it again. There's to be some other modifiers as well that can affect your items, keeping things fresh and lively depending on how you are approaching the game. Let's try and ouch. I don't think we're gonna die. Oh gosh, that modifier wasn't correct. Perfect. I was really hoping to hit the overdrive, the ultimate as well, but sadly we didn't quite get there. Maybe next stream we'll take another look at the overdrive and how that all looks. But you can see, very clearly, the UI is really coming along here. Things have changed dramatically from the prototype, and we're really looking forward to our adventure together, ladies and gentlemen, and creating Everspace 2, this open world RPG for you. We covered a lot of ground today and talking a lot about everything, really. There's so much more to come, and we are really excited for you to join us along for this ride. So one last time, I know you've seen it several times already, but please join us through Discord. Join us on Twitch. Join us through Twitter. Share your voice. Give us your ideas. Let's make this game the best it can possibly be, because that's what's important to us. We know it's important to you as well. So please join us along for this ride. All right, folks, that's all I got. I'm going to go awkwardly to a black screen where the game is no more. But seriously, thank you so much for everything that you have done, all of your contributions. We're looking forward to so much more in the future with you. It's really kind of crazy. So I'm going to leave you just with this image in the background of showing the regions that we talked about. If there were any questions that you did ask that I was just so engrossed in what I was showcasing and I didn't get answered, please come to the Discord. Please ask us anywhere, like Reddit, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever. Drop us a line. We would love to get back to you so that you are on board along this development cycle with us. It's so exciting. It's so much fun, and we're just really glad that you're here with us. So, guys, my name's Eric Schrader. I'm the community ambassador for Rockfish Games. You have been awesome. Don't stop being awesome, and I will hopefully catch you in the next stream, which should be next Friday at the same time. Toodles!